It has been a day, Yins. Anything that could have gone wrong has. Hi Yins, how are you doing today? I hope you are all doing well. Happy February, happy cross stitch, happy knitting, happy Super Bowl if you're in the United States. Happy Groundhog's Day. We just passed Groundhog's Day, the best holiday in February. Actually, the only non-holiday, well, there's other non-holidays in February, but it's the best non-holiday in February because the only official holiday in February is President's Day. So, you know, Groundhog's Day, the second best holiday in February after President's Day. Anyways, I hope you're all having a great day. Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow, unfortunately, and it has struck, as you saw at the beginning of the video with the snow. And it's snowing again today. But it has stopped now. I think we're done with snow for the day. And it's just been a dreary, dreary day. And anything that could have gone wrong today has gone wrong for me. I was in the middle of working on my computer today and the electricity went out. And I was in the middle of an important document. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And then just anything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. But anyways, so I am here today working with you guys, talking to you guys. It is super late for me for filming. I usually like to get started a lot earlier than this in my filming because it takes me a long time to get this uploaded to YouTube. But such is life, and I will upload it through the evening and then have it ready for you guys first thing Monday morning. So this will be up February 8th. Of 2021. So thank you all for returning to my channel. If you are a returning viewer and subscriber, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am Gerald, Ginger Gerald Stitcher, and I thank you for continuing to patronage my channel and check out what I have for you today. And it is going to be an interesting video today. Cross stitch has greatly dominated my life this week, as we will get to whenever we get to the cross stitch section. So I hope you are ready for an update today. I am feeling better. So I did see the doctor last Monday. I see her again tomorrow, hopefully to be cleared to go back to work, but I don't know yet. We'll wait and see what the doctor has to say. But they did give me a round of steroids to knock out the cough, which I still have a little bit of the cough, but the steroids gave me energy out the wazoo. So I have been on a manic, crazy, energy-filled, many sleepless nights because I'm loaded up with energy, hungry. I've never felt hungrier in my life because I never feel hungry. I don't eat a lot. But I've eaten more this week than I've probably eaten in the last month. The first day I was on steroids, I had a 10:30 p.m. run to Taco Bell. Thank goodness they're open until 1 a.m. So, yeah. So I've been eating a lot. But, oh well. So I've still been working remotely, and that's the plan as of now until I get cleared to go to the doctor, or cleared by the doctor to return back to work. So I'm going to continue doing that. Work has been busy as always, and it's now, been snowing. We had 2 snow days last week, which was interesting. I still have to work on snow days, but we did have 2 snow days, so that was fun. But we now have had winter here in New Jersey. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right on into my knitting. So I had some plans that I wanted to accomplish last week, and my plans were that I wanted to finish my shawl and I wanted to start 2 pairs of socks, and I wanted to knit up a dishcloth. So we're going to go in no particular order. So the very first thing that I'm going to show you today is that I started. I didn't completely stitch, but I did start a boxy dishcloth. You can find this as a free Ravelry. I believe it's, yeah, I know it's free because I wouldn't have bought a pattern for a dishcloth. So a boxy dishcloth on Ravelry. This is one of my go-tos that I really like to work on. So I am using Dishy by Knit Picks. They're worsted 100% cotton. This is in the color Azure. And last night I was just like, what am I gonna do? And I hadn't cast on yet. So I went ahead and cast on my Dishy dishcloth, boxy dishcloth. And I did 3 rounds of repeats. So I had 3 rounds done. So now I can say that this will have to get done because it started. So I'm happy with that. And you know, I like knitting up the Dishy. I have this ball and 1 more to go, and then all my cotton will be done. So I'm really trying to use up my yarns, as has been the mantra all year so far. Use up what I have. So that is my first plan. That is going to be something I work on, but so I did start it. I didn't finish it, but I did at least get it started. And then we go into socks. So the first pair of socks that I wanted to start were a pair of socks for myself. I call them my Steelers socks. As you'll see, this is a Stroll gradient from Knit Picks in Stroll gradient duos because it's 250-gram balls. There you can see it's black, gray. There's a little bit of green as the gray goes into the yellow. And my goal on my socks were that I wanted to get both socks that I cast on up through the heel. So this sock I did get cast on. I cast on and I did get through the heel. I actually got a good way through the leg as well. So there's the cast on edge. There's the foot, which is a nice tweedy gray, charcoal black into the gray. Then we got the gray with my German short row heel. So I do the rounded toe up sock toe. And so let's rewind. I cast on using, with this sock I am using a US 1s. I'm using a US 1. These are Haya Sharps. US 1. I cast on using DPNs because it's really fiddly and you're just doing a few stitches. I do DPNs for the entire toe. Once I get the toe done and I have all of my increases done, I switch to my Haya 9-inch circular. So then for my socks, I like using it on a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter. So I did my foot, then I got to my heel. I do my heel using the DPNs. Then I switch back to the 9-inch circular for the remainder of the sock. So I am working my way up through the sock, the leg of the sock. I have maybe 20 more rows to go before I start doing the ribbing. Here is what I have left of the sock, of the ball. I am going to use up all of the yarn. So I'm going to go until I run out. So it's going to be a fairly long sock for me. But I like that, and I want to use up all the yarn because it's yellow. So there we go. Gray, sock, yellow. And then, so this week I plan on, we'll get to plans later. Then my other socks that I wanted to cast on were and I stand corrected, and I probably pronounce it wrong all the time, but I believe, and a viewer did correct me, that it's pronounced Peyton's. So this is Peyton's Croy. I pronounce it Patton's because that's what everyone and their mom calls it, but apparently it's pronounced Peyton's Croy. Sock yarn. This is in the color Clover Colors. This is Clover Colors. And so again, I wanted to get up through the heel. I did not quite get to through the heel, but I've been, it fell on me. So I did get it cast on. Now this pair of socks, I am using a 2.5 millimeter. These are not Hi-Hi's. These are Chowgoos. And these are a US 1.5 and a 2.5 millimeter. So again, I'm using the Chowgoo. You can tell because it's the red lace cord. So again, I do the DPNs for the toe. I then switch to the circular for the foot, and that is how much I have done so far. Now, one night earlier in the week, Tuesday, I was in the mood to just knock out toes. Toes are for me, whenever I'm doing the toe up sock, the toe is the worst part. I hate doing the toe. I mean, I don't hate doing the toe, but of the entire sock, the toe is the least enjoyable part to do. So I decided that instead of trying to get to the heel on this sock this week, I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and cast on the other toe. So I went ahead and completely cast on the other toe. Of course, it does not match at all because my two balls of yarn do not match up in the slightest, but that's perfectly all right. It's fun. And so I did the entire toe. So that's what the toe looks like by itself. And then I put it onto the circular, and now it's ready to go for the foot whenever I get the other one ready to go. So I have a almost completed foot and I have a toe. So that's my sock knitting. Very pleased with that. So dishcloth knitting so far, sock knitting so far, and then my last goal in knitting this last week was I wanted to finish my shawl. So again, the shawl, which I don't have the paper for, I do have the paper for. This is the Eco Plus Hemp Rocky Mountain Spring Shawl. Again, I am not doing the Eco Plus Hemp. I'm just doing the Rocky Mountain Spring Shawl. So that is what it will look like when it's done. Again, I'm not doing those colors. This is a Cascade Yarns design. It's free on yarns.com. If I remember, I will link it below. I'm going to try, that's one thing I'm going to try to do going forward, is try to be better at linking the information below that I talk about. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to be perfect at it, but I'm going to try to do the best that I can. There's a lot that's going to be in this video, so I'm going to do the best that I can. So before I even started knitting any of the socks, this was my goal to finish. And I did. And yesterday I went ahead and blocked. So I know many of you wanted me to do a tutorial on how I did my blocking. I thought about it, and then I was like, well, let me just do this one first, and the next one I do, I will film. So I did not film or show how I block this, just because I've never done one that is like so particular for blocking. I've usually just been able to lay stuff out and let it dry. This one I actually had to pin and be very particular. So I'm very pleased with how it turned out. But here is my Rocky Mountain spring shawl. And so let me get back, and there is the length of the shawl. Actually, yeah, there we go. So the entire shawl is done, and by the time it was done, I was so fatigued of long rows. The rows are super long, but I think it looks great. It's nice and lightweight because it's a fingering weight yarn. So I used Knit Picks it'll come to me. And I put it all away already. Palette, Knit Picks palette in some random green color, which I actually ran out of. And the grayish color. So because I actually ran out of the green color, this last row of garter eyelet stitches was supposed to be green at the bottom. I went ahead and made it the gray white color instead of the green, just because I didn't want to have to wait and order another skein of yarn. And the whole goal of this year for knitting is use up what I have. So not that there isn't more yarn coming in the mail, but I wanted to use what I have in stash. So I went ahead and used the white, gray, excuse me, and I think it looks great. I think it it definitely, in my opinion, brings that white gray color down to through the entire piece. So for me, I think it actually finishes it off nicer than if it was just green there at the bottom. I really like the way the white looks. So it took me a really long time to bind off. It probably took 2 hours to bind off because it's so many freaking stitches, but it's bound off. It's blocked. It took all day yesterday to dry, but it's a really nice shawl. And it's not for me, but I could wear it. It fits, but it's not my style. But I just wanted to knit something. And so this is my very first piece of knitting in lace work. So lace work meaning that it has holes, it's like lace. So there's 3 different styles of lace. So there's that lace, and then there's the flower lace, and then there's the chevrons. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I hope the person who gets it likes it just as much as I do. So there is my shawl. It'll be a really nice, I think, lightweight shawl for spring and fall, maybe even summer. All right. That's all I have for knitting. So I'm going to clean up my knitting area and get all of my cross stitch stuff out while you guys all enjoy a little bit of gardening. In today's gardening section, we're going to talk about deadheading flowers. Deadheading flowers or plants basically just means cutting off those dead flowers. I've gotten a lot of questions about how I do it, and it's very simple. So I actually have some that I need to cut off. I've waited a little bit too long, but I wanted to wait until I can film and show you all, but I have an amaryllis, and basically any flower that has, any plant that has flowers that blooms throughout an entire season, or one that you want to make sure that the bulb gets starts to get the energy back, you're going to want a deadhead. So basically any flower. So once that flower withers up and dies, or looks like it's looking pretty bad, you're going to want to cut it off. So a lot of flowers such as annuals, you know, pansies, not pansies, petunias, impatiens, those ones that you can easily just take your fingers and pinch them off. Amaryllis and roses, my roses, you can definitely do that with roses. You're going to want to definitely cut them off. This one is not quite ready yet, but once that is ready to go, I'm just going to chop it off right at the base, right above those first set of leaves. But what it does is, one, it helps to promote more blooms, so that whenever you have a plant, when you cut off the bloom, it's going to help the plant get more energy so it continues to bloom, but also it helps give the plant back energy. So such as the amaryllis. So I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to show you what I am, how I'm going to cut them off. So here is my amaryllis. As you can see, it's looking pretty shabby, but I do still have one bloom left on this stalk. So I don't want to cut off the entire stalk, but that is also one point I want to make, is that once the bloom stalk is completely dead on this amaryllis, I am going to cut off the entire stalk. And as you can see here, I already cut off the first stalk. Or spike, I guess in amaryllis are considered spikes. So I cut it off. So and if you do have amaryllis and you do this, make sure that you know, once you cut it off, you want to cut it off as close to the base of the bulb as possible. As you can see, I cut it off right where the dry part of the bulb starts. But kind of like, just like let it hang out over top of the pot for a little bit, because a lot of water drains out. These are very water heavy, water dense. So just allow the water and the moisture to drain out. You can also see leaves starting to pop out here. I'm going to be very cautious when I cut this off so I don't cut those leaves, because those leaves are going to help produce food for this bulb so that the bulb can grow and produce more bulbs next year. But basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my tool here. These are my handy dandy, I use these for everything trimmers. These are actually my bonsai tree trimmers, but I just use them for everything. And I am going to switch my camera around into my other hand because I am right-handed and I can't cut with my left hand. And I'm going to come in here into the base, right in about here. And I'm just going to cut them off. Now make sure that with your scissors or whatever you're using for trimming, that they're clean, they're sanitized. You can use soap and water and dry them off real well, and do that in between each plant, because just like humans, plants also have bacteria, and you don't want to spread that between plants. So here we go, and I'm just going to allow these all to drop to the floor so that I can continue filming. And there we go. It just fell off. And you even saw a little bit of moisture there whenever we and if you can't get the scissor in there all the way, which I'm having a difficult time, this one, oh, where's it at? There we go. So you're just going to keep doing that until they're all cut off. Now, I should have done a couple of these a while ago and then allowed the other ones to continue, but now I'm going to have to cut all of them off and just leave that one. Once this one is completely done, like I said, I will cut off this spike all the way down here at the base, and then I'm going to put this bulb into the windowsill and just water it just like normal and let it grow for the season. So We won't do anything more with this other than water and allow it to grow. It will grow wonderful foliage throughout the entire spring and summer. And then early fall, like August-ish, I will start to prepare it for next year's blooming cycle. So I'll just end with a look at the flower the way a pretty flower instead of those dead, ugly, dried up things. There we go. That is deadheading a dead flower. I said at the beginning of the video, cross stitch took over the week, and looking at the pile of stuff that I have here, it really took over what I did this week. So let's go ahead and jump right on into this segment. The very first thing that, and this is going to really be in no particular order that I worked on, however, yeah, it's just going to be whatever it happened. I have two things because, so the very first thing I'm going to show you is part of my purchases that came in the mail this week, because I was able to finally frame two of my projects that have been hanging in my closet for a couple years. So I am super excited. Yesterday, the frames came in the mail, well, via UPS. I ordered the frames from pictureframes.com. Very first time I ordered frames online. And well, picture frames of this magnitude and quality. And then also first time I ever framed anything of this size. And I actually took the majority of yesterday after the frames came, like afternoon and evening, to go ahead and get them framed up. So they're pretty much done, and I'm gonna show them here for you today. So the very first one I framed up last night was my Autumn Forest Quaker. And I'm going to try to limit the amount of, so these have acrylic in them, and they're supposed to be anti-glare-ishy kind of acrylic, but I know they're not going to do anti-glare. And I have 3 giant lights around me for the best kind of lighting. So I know we're not going to get good glare lighting. So we're going to do the best we can. So there is my Autumn Forest Quaker. So, oh, there we go. Look at that. Autumn Forest Quaker. So I did this. This is also the very first one I ever framed with a mat, which when I first started framing it, I completely forgot I had to take into consideration the mat whenever I was pinning and lacing it. So these are pinned and laced using the mat board that came with the frames. So there is my Autumn Forest Quaker. Very pleased with it. The mat does overlap the outside Quaker motifs ever so slightly, and a couple of them are ajar a little bit, just because when you have straight lines the whole way around a piece and then you have to frame it and you are an amateur, it's kind of hard to get things perfectly straight. So I will show you the back. Here is the back of my work. It is laced, as you can see, laced and it is pinned. So I have the backing paper to glue down whenever I am sure that I'm happy with it. And then I have the hanging hardware to then put on the frame. But I am super happy with how this turned out. This is stretched, in my opinion, extremely well. And there we go. I think the colors match really well. I love this frame. I think if it's gonna fit, it's gonna fit really nicely into my home. I love the natural or the dark woods and golds, of course, because look at my home. Wood. gold, you know. So there we go. Autumn Forest Quaker. This is a Stickadien van der Weenberg design that I bought in 2018 at Stitchville, USA. This is stitched on a 46 count? 46 count XJU Designs fabric. I don't remember the color name anymore. Autumn Leaves, maybe? I don't know. Maybe Little Bunny? Is that Little Bunny? Maybe? Anyways, Stickadien van der Weenberg, Autumn Forest Quaker. Very unusual for me of a design, but I love the animals. And I kind of like the Quaker pieces, but the Quaker pieces are not my favorite. I like the animals in the trees. Yeah. All right. So that's going to be hanging probably in my dining room slash office slash garden. Then I have, this is the one I like the best. I mean, I love them both, but I'm so happy I finally got this framed. This has been sitting in my closet for 3 years. This has been hanging in my closet finished for 3 years. And I'm super excited I got this framed. This frame fits perfectly. It actually surprisingly fit perfectly in a 12 by 16 frame, which I didn't think it was going to. It's super slightly tight and was a pain in the butt to stretch just because, again, it has perfectly straight lines the whole way around, but it works. So this is Let Freedom Ring by Lila Studio. And here is what it looks like. And you're not going to see the color very well, unfortunately. There we go. There you can see the enamel at the bottom. So there we go. Lila Studio, Let Freedom Ring. I stitched this, I completed this December 24th, 2017. So really happy with this. I did make some modifications to this design. I don't remember all of them, but I know there was a couple things that I thought were way too busy, so I omitted. And yeah, like I know there was supposed to be like an initial sign here, initials there, and initials over here, blocks. I took those out and I just put my initials small there. I know that much. I feel like there was something up here that I took out too because it was too busy for me. To be honest, this whole design is a little bit too busy for me because I'm not a sampler style person, but I love the architecture. I think Lila did a great job on this piece. I love this frame. There you can see the color work of the frame. It's very rustic, and then it has a white linen interior, like matte type border there. Love it. So this one does not have a matte. This does not have a matte. It just has that. So that's why I got it like this. This was a frame on clearance. This one was a little bit harder to lace up and get straight just because these little pieces of wood around this edge are not perfectly straight because of the rusticness of the frame. But I love that. So very pleased. Here you can see the back of the frame, what it looks like framed up in the back, laced. Again, this is using the acid-free foam board that comes with the frame, and it's their version of museum quality stuff. So it's acrylic, not glass, because most companies don't send glass in the mail, I guess. they send acrylic, which is fine for me. This is stitched on 40 count Hungarian pointer, I think is what it's called. Hungarian pointer, 40 count extrude designs. Why do I remember that? But I don't remember one that I stitched last year. So extrude designs, Hungarian pointer. Probably can't get it anymore. Maybe you can. I don't know. Very pleased with that. This is probably going to hang right over there, which you can't see, in my living room. Opposite Henry is basically where that one's going to hang. So those are my two framed objects. Let's go ahead and get into some of the progress that I stitched earlier in the week. So the very first thing that I worked on last week, after I said I'm not going to work on it in the coming week in last week's video, was my Heaven and Earth Designs project. And can I get... I thought I was prepared with everything, and then I forgot to get the picture out of what it looks like. This is what it'll look like when it's done. It is Harbor Lights by artwork by John Bradley, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I have now, based on many comments on Instagram and YouTube, know that this is the harbor in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. So that's what it will look like when it is done. If you are interested in this pattern, it is no longer available on Heaven and Earth Designs website, but I believe you can find it on Artisy. Now, I've said another website last week that was wrong. I'm hoping Artisy is the correct one. If I'm wrong, again, it'll be in the comments below because I'm sure somebody will correct me. So that's what it will look like when it is complete. Now, for some reason last week when I was sitting on the couch wondering what am I going to stitch tonight after I filmed, I thought I was done with this design, and then I was like, no, I really want to work towards a page finish. Did I get a page finish? No. But I got closer to a page finish. So there is my progress so far. Now, I shared a picture with a friend of this design, and there is a lot more color that you can actually see in real life than what's showing up on film. And I have really good lighting for this, but for some reason the coloring on this is not showing up on film very well. So there, actually today it is. So I just made myself look bad. But there is my Heaven and Earth design. So basically what I did, I filled in all of this gray here and then up in here. So basically I wanted to fill in all of this to get this all filled in. And now I'm just working down towards the end. The page finish is right there. So I don't have all that much more to get to a page finish. And as you can see, I've been working down towards farther down onto the second page. So there is a lot of different colors in there. It's a very vibrant sky, and we're getting there. So that was probably 6 hours worth of stitching of that gray. But I'm starting to get more and more into the swing of stitching on full coverage, and I'm enjoying it more and more. So we're going to continue working on that here and there and slowly work towards a finish in like 5 years. So that is my Heaven and Earth Designs full coverage. Let's just show this while we have it. So one of my plans that I wanted, one of my goals from last week that I wanted to have for this week was on my castle monochromatic piece. I'm going to insert a picture here of what it will look like. of what it will look like when it's finished. I wanted to have a picture, I wanted to have the bottom border completed by the time I filmed today. So luckily I was able to complete that. I'm stitching this on a 28 count. Hold on a second. Let me roll back a little bit. I'm telling you, I'm super hyper with this medication. Here is what it looks like today. So before last week it was like that. And that's what it looks like today. So I went ahead and stitched on the bottom border. I got the bottom border done. And then last night I was kind of at the last minute, like still not tired, didn't know what I wanted to stitch on. I was like, oh, I might as well pull this out. So I put another couple strands of floss into this side border. So there is my progress. This is on a 28 count linen from Silk Weaver. This is a solo die, so it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have, you probably can't get it again. It was just a one-off from Silk Weaver. I bought it whenever I was at their store during the 2019 New Jersey FlossTube retreat. And that's where I'm at. I'm using DMC floss number 29. First time I've used this flosses in the 20s, the newer color flosses. So that's my progress so far on my castle monochrome piece. Then okay. Then I decided I need a new start. Well, I had planned on having a new start. I was planning on starting the Busby Designs, the octopus with the anchor, octopus holding the anchor thing. And then I just wasn't feeling that. And I actually reached out to Scott at Busby Designs to ask him a couple questions about the pattern before I bought it. I haven't bought that pattern yet. And I just wanted to make sure that that was the pattern I wanted to do, because that pattern actually is not a monochrome piece. It actually has like 11 colors in it. So, but I was just gonna do one or two of the colors using that shade of red that I had picked out, similarly to the way that others have done the Plague Doctor. Because I know that one has 4 or 5 different shades of gray, and some people had only done the black to give it a monochrome look. So instead of doing that new start, I decided to go ahead and start the piece that I made the coffee dyed fabric for, and that is Little House Needleworks Coming to America. And if you follow me on Instagram at ginger.gerald.stitcher, go check me out there. Make sure you click on follow, and I will most likely follow you back if I see that you follow me. Not always, because I'm not always on there a lot, but whenever I do and I see somebody that strikes my fancy, I do make sure to follow them. So I decided to go ahead and get started on this, and I did post a picture on Instagram. So Wednesday evening, I decided to, because I'm using all the it calls for DMC as well as a few classic color works. I'm going to use all the color for DMC. I don't have any of the classic color works. So I went ahead through my stash of Color and Cotton and Next2 Designs flosses, and I picked out the ones that I think are going to be best for the design. So whoops. So I have a bunch. There's a few that I'm still in question of. So I'm not going to give you my whole decision on those today. I will tell you that the water that you're going to see is classic or Color and Cotton Lullaby. So here is my progress so far. This is 2 days of progress. And there we go. So I did all of the people. I did the little bridge type gangplank walkway type thing that they're walking on. And I did the water underneath the people. So that is my progress. I'm surprised how quickly this is stitching up. This is going to be a very quick stitch for me, I think. So I decided to just go ahead and put it away for a little bit. So there is my progress on coming to America. So I completed the people. They are all 100% done. And then I stitched the water. So again, the water is Color and Cotton Lullaby. I think that looks very, very nice. I think it's going to turn out great. So the next thing I'm probably going to do is, you can see the little bell here on, that's for the ship. I wasn't sure what color I was going to do for the ship. So I think I'm going to move over here and start working on the ship next. And telling you people, it's not my day today. Everything keeps dropping. So my choices that I was going to have for the ship were either going to be XU Designs Rusty Bordeaux, which I really, really like, and I think that's what I'm going to use, or Gingerbread by Color and Cotton. I think that's just a little bit too light. So I think I'm going to go with this one. I just want to make sure it doesn't, that it contrasts well enough with the rest of the colors in the ship. So there is my progress. Very pleased with that. Okay, so moving on. So that was a new start. And I'm still keeping up with my tracker on my computer. I don't know who this Ginger Gerald is, because it's not the one that left 2020. Oh, so I had meant to tell you all, ladies and guys, that based on my information tracker, I had 10 finishes in January. I had 10 starts and 10 finishes. So I broke even. So even though I'm doing all of these new starts, I'm really not increasing my project amount. So it's actually a win-win situation for me. Now, I will say the next couple new starts that I do are probably going to be project increases in my total count, just because they're pieces that are going to take a few weeks to complete, or maybe a couple months. I don't know about coming to America. I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to have it done within a month or so. It depends upon how much time I actually devote to it. So we'll see. Oh, and I also forgot to tell you, that is the 28 count mushroom Lugana, Zweigart mushroom Lugana that I coffee dyed. And I really, really enjoy stitching on that 28 count. I'm stitching 2/2 on the 28 count. My Heaven and Earth Designs piece that I spoke about earlier is a 1/1 called for DMC on 28 count white Lugana full cross, so full cross stitch. And my Castle monochrome piece is 1/1 on 28 count full cross. All right, moving on. The next piece I pulled out, or not next piece that I pulled out, but the next piece I worked on, one piece I worked on was, I decided to pull out my Teresa Wentzler Millennium. And what I decided to do on this was that I was ready to start working on the 1/1 planets. And so I'm just going to slowly start working on the 1/1 planets and just kind of knock them out. So the first two that I did were these two up here. And that's what I have to show for you today. And here is my progress. So there are my 2 planets completed. So they are, everything on here is 2/2, and the planets are all going to be 1/1 on 28 count. So this is a 28 count. I think it's a Lugana. It could be I think it's an even weave. It's a 28 count even weave. Creamy color. Buttermilky color. But anyways, there are my planets. I'm not 100% sure which planet is which. Is that Mars maybe? I don't know. So I'm probably going to come down and work on, this is going to, it depends upon when I pull this out, if I want just a little bit of something to stitch on, or if I want to give it a big devotion of time. If I want to give it a big devotion of time, I'm going to knock out the moon and Earth. If I just want to give it a little bit of time, I'm going to knock out some of these other smaller planets. We'll wait and see what happens. But that is my Teresa Wentzler. No hurry on getting this done, but I am looking forward to just knocking out some of this 1/1. So that is where I'm at there. So I pulled this out and I worked on that Friday night and Saturday morning for a couple hours, and that was a quick, nice palette cleanser. The last thing I worked on, again, something I said I wasn't going to do last week, and then what do? I turn around and do it. So this week, I have been engrossed in scouring the internet for free patterns. One of the reasons I started doing that was because I decided to go and download all of the free patterns at Linens and Threads that are available at this time, because I heard that they are starting to pull some of their older sampler patterns and now start to sell them instead of having them as free available downloads. So I went ahead and downloaded all of those that I could. And again, I have no intention or interest in actually stitching any of them right now, but you never know down the road when your heart's desire might change and you'll want to stitch a sampler. I am learning that, tastes change drastically at times and interests fly. However, as I was doing that, I saw this. And so this is 2019 Linen and Threads Mystery Sampler, A Peacock's Garden. This is part 4. So this little section right here is part 4 of the larger section. So this is the April 2019 section. Again, still free on their website. And I said, that would look really nice on my blue mirror and linen that I've been stitching in hand on. So instead of stitching the entire thing, I went ahead and stitched up the one motif. And so instead of, these, previously I had stitched 2 of the 2 bird patterns that I had from Modern Folk Embroidery. And I thought this would go great as a set of birds with that. So I did make a modification. 1, I didn't put a border around it. And 2, you can see that there are hearts. I didn't add the hearts. I'm not a hearts person. So instead of the hearts, I put my initials. Now, where did I get the pattern for the initials, you ask? As I was downloading the Linens and Threads sampler patterns, part 2 of the 2020 Linen and Threads mystery samplers has an alphabet. So why I'm telling you about this, and I use that alphabet. So why I'm telling you this is be creative. And that's what I always talk about on this channel is piece things together. Be creative. So basically I took 2 patterns from the same website that don't go together and I put them together. So where the hearts were, instead of hearts, I put my initials. And they fit perfectly. So that is my Linens and Threads swans that are now yellow. Yellow swans. So that is a finish. That actually took me about 3 days to stitch. That was actually a fairly dense piece of stitching. But I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I think that looks great and it's going to be a nice addition. So I really only have one more piece of this blue mirror and linen. I don't know what I'm going to put on it. When I see something that catches my eye, I'll put something on it. I don't know if that'll be this week. I don't know if that'll be next week. I don't know if that'll be June. But when I see a bird pattern that I think will go well on this piece of fabric, that'll fit on this piece of fabric, that's what'll go on it. And I'm using up my scraps and I'm using up what I have. So I'm really happy about that. I think it's great and a lot of fun. And eventually it will be finished into smalls. I still have not decided what I'm going to put on my orange fabric. It's not really orange. To me, it's more yellow than orange. It's jack-o'-lantern, I think, from Extra Designs. But I realized that the 100 owls from Owl Forest Embroidery is free. I might put one of the larger owls on this because I did download that one as well. So, as much as I've been buying a lot of stuff, I've also been scouring the internet for free patterns. Free patterns that I really like, but then also ones that I don't necessarily like now, but I could use parts of, or I could piecemeal together, or maybe I'll like in the future. I have this in my new Mama Joe bag. So that is my cross stitching for the week. I hope you enjoyed that update. I'm going to clean up and then I will be back with plans and lots of purchases. All right, let's dive into my purchases. But real quick before we do that, I wanted to show you another opportunity that I had for coffee dyeing. So there will be a coffee dyeing tutorial as requested by many, many, many of you coming out in the coming week or so. I'm putting the finishing touches on that as we speak, and I really hope you enjoy it. I tweaked it ever so slightly compared to my normal videos, so it's more of an opportunity for you to learn how I do it visually and auditorially. So, but here is the piece of fabric that came out of that session. So again, a really nice modeled, I almost think this one kind of looks like it would be great for a map or something like that. At first, I really wasn't enjoying the way it looks, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. So, you know, it's one of those things that's trial and error, and you just got to play around and learn what you like and what you don't like, and what you can do and what you can't do. And, you know, every piece is different. So there we go. So that was another coffee dyeing experience. Coffee dye and bake. All right, so purchases. Now, predominantly it's fabric. A lot of my fabric order has come in the mail. I still have some outlying fabrics from Extra Designs. I have 2 orders from her that still have not come. One has been sitting in custom since January 8th. I don't know when I'm gonna get it. But the very first order I got in the mail, I also did a tea dyeing experiment, and this is what came out of tea dyeing. So it's a much more tea dye, coffee dye. Similar but different. So coffee, I use Folgers, regular roast or classic roast, and this is Earl Grey tea. There you go. Same techniques, 2 different mediums. Okay, so first thing that I got in the mail was from One Two Three Stitch. I made an order to One Two Three Stitch because I needed to get some basic Zweigart fabrics. So I needed to get a piece of 14 count Black Ada. So I did that. That's for a project that's I'm going to work on a little bit later on in time, and I'll show you that as we go. So 14 count Black Ada. And then I needed to get a piece of fabric that I planned on stitching this on. I've had this in my stash for about 4 years now. This is the British Isles by Britain and Stitches, or Heritage Crafts. This is Britain and Stitches. It's basically a map of the British Isles. I'm stitching this for a friend. He is aware of it, that it's coming to him. And so I was like, and I wanted to be sure I did not want white fabric. So I was like, oh, let me get antique white. That'll look nice. So when I got the antique white, I wanted it to be neutral, but I didn't want the fabric to overpower the map. When I got the antique white and I pulled it out of the package, I was like, oh, that looks like white. Now, I've never had antique white fabric before. Obviously, when you put it up against the white, like white fabric, like this is antique white 28 count Lugana. So I put it up against the white Lugana of my Heaven and Earth design that I'm currently working on, and it does look a little bit more yellow. But when it's by itself, it looks like white to these eyes. So this isn't what I want. So I'm gonna have to order another piece of fabric for that. I also did a Letitia error. Sorry, Letitia, but you are the one that comes to mind every time I think of it, because I went off of the pattern size, and then I ordered that size of fabric instead of getting a larger piece for border. And I know she recently did that with her monkey. So I need to get a larger piece anyways. So I'm not sure what color fabric I'm gonna get. I'm gonna have my friend help me pick out the color because he's super picky, and that's what we're gonna do. Then, of course, I was like, well, you know what? I might as well just order a couple other small pieces of fabric because it'll be nice to have some different colors to order from. So I ordered a piece of this Zweigart. I have little stragglies coming off, even though it's It's zigzag the whole way around. So I wanted to see what this color, this one color was. So this is a 28 count Lugana Golden Blossom. So here we go, Golden Blossom. It's just a basic Zweigart Lugana. Kind of nice. I'm not sure what, have no intentions or plans for it, but it might be a nice fabric for something. I've never had, okay. In the past, I've never really cared for Picture This Plus fabrics, but everyone raves about them. Everyone has them. So I wanted to give them a second chance. So this time I ordered, and I've never had Ale, but I've heard great things about the color Ale. So I ordered a small piece of 28 count Ale in Lugana. So here is my Ale Lugana. I really like it so far. We'll have to wait and see what it feels like stitching up. This could be a contender for the color of the fabric that I get for the map. And then I had to go way outside the box and order a piece of Picture This Plus Huntress. But you think, Gerald, that's way outside the box. If you think about it, it's kind of royal purple. So something crown-ish or, you know, royal could go on that. So I really like that. It definitely is not what I expected, and I really, really, really like that. Then I ordered, because I've heard so many people talking about it on their channels, and I didn't realize she had them. But I really am starting to enjoy Angela's fabrics, and I love Angela. I think she's a great dyer. She has great color theory skills, and so I ordered 2 linen grab bags from Color and Cotton. So I haven't even taken them out of the packages yet, so I'm not going to, I don't think. But they're just, they're not, her grab bags are random. You don't know what size, they're not labeled as far as fabric counts, or but they are all 8 by 12 inch pieces, so they're good for smalls, which is what I'm doing this year for the most part. So this is more of a neutrals, so there's like a cream and like a brownie color, and then there's a purpley color on the inside, and then that actually might be a double, no, maybe not, I don't know. And then this one's more of like a gray purple. And then there's like a bright blue. I'm not sure what I'm going to do that. That may become a giveaway. Who knows? And then more of a... I always think of like the sea, ocean, like the beach when I see this color. Blue-gray. So those are what I got from Angela at Color and Cotton. Really happy about that. Finally, this is the last order, this is the last purchases I got, and I was super excited to get these, and they're not far from me. So I made an order. I've never ever ordered from Fiberlicious, and I think the whole name is Fiberlicious Yummy Fiber, which cringe, because the type of fiber that's yummy or should be yummy is not the type of fiber that I stitch on. Anyways, it's www.fiberliciousyummyfibers.com. I ordered 2 pieces of fabric, and then I also ordered these really neat adjustable scroll rod tension clips. Never saw them before in my life until I went onto their website. Never heard of them before. So basically they're clips, almost like bungee cords. And so I'm going to give them a try, because whenever I use my Omnic frames, especially the longer sidebars, adjusters rods, the insides kind of like stretch in or like compact in. So these will be nice to wrap around those. Let me put that down so it doesn't annoy everybody. These will be nice to wrap around and pinch on and pull that fabric taut. So I'm looking forward to give them a try. They have different colors, and we'll see what it's like. I don't know. Okay, but the fabric, this is what I was super excited about. So I ordered both 40 counts, 40 count linens. So I ordered 40 count linen in cobblestone. And this is a 17 by 26. This I have no plan on stitching on. I saw somebody else. Who did I see get this? I don't remember. But I saw this piece and I was like, ooh, I really like that. So very, very happy with this piece. Something nice will go on here. I just don't know what. Really thrilled about this piece. Love it. Then I will say, the one thing I will say about their fabrics is I think their colors are great. It does feel a little bit stiffer than, so either the way they wash them or rinse them out, it doesn't get them as soft as I've had from other companies. But their colors are great. And like they came for me in a day and a half, 2 days, because they're literally across the bridge from me in Philadelphia. The color I was super excited to get, and this is a 40 count linen, 26 by 36 in burnt umber. I have been looking for a super dark brown, like super dark. And I finally found one I think I like. That's even washing out a little bit. There we go. That's more like it. That's definitely a little bit brighter than what it's actually showing. Lighter. So that is dark umber. I am planning, that's even making me look brighter. I have plans for this. I'm not going to tell you what yet because I'm not 100% sure. But this is what I was waiting on to determine so I can finalize plans. So once I finalize plans, I will let you know what I'm going to do with this. And I hate to leave you hanging like that, but at the same time, I kind of do like to leave you hanging like that because I like to have my plans fully laid out before I talk about them. And so I need to finalize what I'm going to do. I'm fairly certain. There we go. That's a good color of what it looks like. Very dark. Very dark, almost like velvety color. Yeah, super dark. Love it. So it's going to be a joy to stitch on. It's probably going to be almost like a 46 till I stitch on it because of the way it shrunk up. And I'm loving that. So, first time I ever had their Fiberlicious fibers. Probably not going to be the last. Super quick to get. I think I ordered them maybe 3 weeks ago. And they just came. So that was really exciting to get. So I'm really pleased with those fabrics. But I will let you know once I make the decisions on this fabric what I'm going to put on there. And it's probably going to be sooner than later. But I'll let you know soon. All right. So let's talk about some plans. So I have some pretty big plans this weekend, or this coming week. I have 4 days of work this week. As of right now, I'm still working remote. And then Friday I have off. I took some PTO. And then next Monday is President's Day. So I have off for President's Day. So I have a 4-day weekend. I had to do some counting in my head to make sure it was 4 days and not 5 days. I have a 4-day weekend this coming weekend. So I'm excited about that. Going to be lots of time for crafting. And so I want to make some ambitious plans. So my plans for this week are I want to get the 2 socks that I have on the go that are like decently done, I want them done. Those socks are going to be done. I want the other 2 socks that are matching sets, I want them significantly accomplished. What that means, I don't know. The other one, the other Steeler sock has to be cast on, and I just need to make some good headway on those socks. I want to get them done. I'm trying to like knock out my stuff. Remember, use up what I have. Stitching. I'm going to the border of the castle piece, that outside border. I want that border completely done. That is going to be my goal. I'm going to work on that tonight, I think. It'll be some nice mindless stitching after a crazy, stressful day. Then, big news. I pulled out London. I haven't started stitching on it yet, but yesterday I pulled it out to look at, and I think I'm now getting to the point where I want to stitch on it again. I pulled it out I zigzagged around the edge. I've had this for 3 years and I've never zigzagged the edges. So now they won't fray anymore. But so here is where I'm at on London as of now. Maybe I can do this so I can see you too. So there is London. I would really like to get started on London again and make some good progress this year. In order to do so, I have to want to work on it. And I have not wanted to work on it. And I think I determined why. I think the reason I don't want to work on London is the pattern. And I think the reason I don't want to work on the pattern is the fact that I've been making working copies of the pattern, and the working copies drive me nuts. And since this is a kit, and since it's my kit, I think I'm just going to start marking up the original. And I think I will be much happier, and I will move a lot faster on this pattern. So that is the plan. I think I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to keep working on it. Currently, I want to try to knock out the rest of these buildings over here. I saw Westminster Abbey out here, and I have this building, the rotunda on this building to finish up here. Then I can finally move over here and finish up the tree. And there's a tree here, and Tower of London, and then Elizabeth Tower, Big Ben, Elizabeth Tower, and Tower Bridge. So I would love to have this done this year. It's not a goal. It's not a plan. It's just I really want to continue working on this, but the pattern has been irritating me, and I hate working with that pattern. So I think I'm just going to start marking up that pattern, and I'm going to start working here and see how much I get done. And if that causes me anxiety or stress, I'm going to come over and I'm going to start working over here and see if that reinvigorates my interest in stitching on London. I love this piece and I want it framed and hung in my house. But in order to do so, I got to finish it. So this is going to be my focus for February. Doesn't mean I'm not going to work on other stuff, because I have plenty of other stuff going on at the time. But that's how big the fabric is. This is going to be my focus. So that's my plan. So castle, the outside border, London, probably coming to America. Maybe a couple more planets on Millennium, Teresa Wensler. And we'll see what happens. Playing it by ear, but definitely hoping to have London out. So, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted in my Insta stories, which I hardly ever do. I'm not a big Insta story thing. And the reason is because I'm horribly distracted by the fact that I have a hard enough time just getting on Instagram, and then to have to bide my time, stretch my time between both Insta stories and the feed. It's like, which one takes more precedence? Do I do Instagram stories or do I do the feed? So I typically don't do Instagram stories. However, as I was cleaning or something, I came across this. And I'm sure it would surprise many of you to know that I'm a published poet. Now, I say that loosely because I won a competition in 6th grade. I didn't even really know I was entering a competition in 6th grade because my 6th grade English teacher just entered the entire class in the competition because it was a homework assignment. I don't even like poetry. But I'm a published poet. So, if you stuck around this long, you now get to enjoy my published poem. Well, what page am I on? I forget what page I'm even on anymore. I just looked this up the other day too. Aha, here we go. So this is in the Anthology of Poetry by Young Americans, 1995 edition. So I was in 6th grade. I was 11. The poem's called Laying on My Bed. There was a man laying on my bed. I think he was almost dead. He sang a song and shouted out loud, laying on my bed. His skin is blue. It smells like glue. Laying on my bed. Then smack. He was dead. Laying on my bed. Laying on my bed by Gerald. I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy crafting. Always be creative. Create the things that you wish you see in the world. If you like poems, create poetry. If you like knitting, knit. If you like to cross stitch, stitch. But until next week, always be creative. Enjoy the things you like to see in the world. Don't forget to always be creative.